Alright everyone, let me just get this out of the way. I'm doing post-commentary on this particular video because, well, something that I'll talk about in the next video caused it to mess up. So I lost the audio for it, and I actually had to re-record the video through debut with a different device, since nothing else would actually recognize it even as a video file. Fun times. But aside from that, nothing will really be much different about this, except you might notice a lot more jumping around in the video. I accidentally forgot to check my video codec. Oh yeah, there's the Earth Dragon. Surprise, surprise. But, I forgot to check my, video settings before I started recording, and I was using a totally different codec than Microsoft Video 1. So that kind of screwed me over a little bit on the frame skip, but hopefully it's not too noticeable. I still don't know what's up with some of the battle sprites being kind of, empty, so to speak. It's kind of weird. Because I already know for a fact that the sprites you used aren't that way. It's just VX. Sometimes, you gotta be careful about what sprites you use. But, anyway. Not much to this boss, except just abuse heal us. Look at son of a gun. That's essentially it. I wonder if Crusader is going to show up later on in this game. After you defeat the 8 dragons. That'd be kind of cool. I will admit, seeing Crusader would be kind of interesting, although, if he does show up, I hope he doesn't spam the crap out of that, like, all-powerful, like, group hit attack from Final Fantasy 6. That's just terrible. But, I think this is actually the video where stuff actually gets done, if I recall. I've recorded like 9 videos. At the time I'm actually recording the post-commentary for this. So a lot of good stuff has happened since then. Yeah, spoiler, I know, but honestly I'm having trouble remembering what exactly happened in this video, I think. Yeah, I go through this other door over here, but there's really nothing in there. Really, I think that door is just there to show you, hey, here's a save point you might have missed. Although I really wish you wouldn't have put the Earth Dragon right there. Because at that point, the save point is kind of useless almost. Though I go back to it anyway, I think. Yeah. Just because I don't trust this game as far as I can throw it. Sometimes healing points aren't exactly what you'd want them to be. Especially when there's 2 or 3 bosses in a row. Yeah, for as hard as some of these bosses are, you really should have given me, even me or us, shall I say, a lot more healing points. Or at least warp points that actually let you warp back right where you left off. Because the way this is set up, it feels kind of like artificial difficulty to a point where some of these bosses are put in very bad locations. And at least Dragon Quest had the decency to actually just make it 1 boss per dungeon most of the time. Matter of fact, I'm trying to think of a Dragon Quest game that didn't do that. Let's see. I know of a Final Fantasy game that didn't do that, but that one was very hard. So. Oh yes, we have this place. You might recognize the music in the background. If you don't, then let's just say you're going to be surprised when the boss actually comes up. I know I was. These enemies are really kind of generic. I mean, the sprite isn't generic, but the fighting is, because really, you could probably fought these guys probably 5 dungeons back. At least these particular versions of this enemy, because really, they're taking like 6 from me. Make that about 8 dungeons back then, since that's a pretty big decrease in strength. Granted, they only tend to show up when they have time, too, which makes them kind of pointless. And yes, I'm gonna just go out there and complain that I'm still getting just one ability point. I know as far as I've gotten, there was a reason for this, but I still don't like it. Mainly just because, well, I think at this point your growth is severely limited by this, which makes some of these later on bosses kind of annoying. I mean, you can still beat them, it just makes them harder than they really need to be at this point. Also, really, I don't know how far job levels go in this game, but I'm pretty high at this point in terms of job levels. So, if I get a job level at all at this point, it's going to be huge. Let's see. What else? I will say one thing, though. As much as I complain about the dungeon design in this game, at least you are really good enough at VX to actually make them look like actual dungeons. Which is a problem I think I'm probably going to have, for the most part, when I make my game. I am creative and all, but I'm not good at dungeon designing. At all. Or rather, map designing in general. I did show some of my early ideas in a couple of videos, like 3 years back, and people were kind of into it. I mean, they certainly didn't think they were bad, but I was never really satisfied with them. I always felt like I could do better, and after seeing you and Mist with your dungeon and map designing, it made me feel kind of incompetent. I know, I shouldn't feel like that. Not everyone is good at everything in RPG Maker, but you two, like, actually know what you're doing, though. With me, let's face it, most of my map designing was just me fiddling around with different map sets, trying to figure out what looked good. And I think the most I ever really came up with is the Dragon Quest Monsters town hub, so to speak, since much like your game, Dragon Warrior Monsters kind of feels like a dungeon crawler itself, with a single hub for a town that you constantly visit and update, and the rest is just really just dungeon exploring, with turn-based fighting, and a breeding system, really. That's really the biggest thing that separated it from games like Pokemon and Digimon, was that you didn't play it like a traditional turn-based RPG. It was very reminiscent of the old dungeon crawler style, which people actually liked. They liked the fact it was so different than most other monster games, and that it was using its own style. I think that's why I'm latching onto it so much, is just because I like the simple design Monsters had. And I really wanted to see a direct continuation to 2 instead of the, I shouldn't say crappy, but the not so decent continuation that was Joker. I know they're making a sequel to Joker, and it's apparently being hyped up, and they're also supposedly making a remake, another one, of the first 2 Dragon Warrior Monster games. And I am willing to give them the benefit of the doubt there, because they at least look like they're trying to make amends for Joker, but I'm not gonna really hold my breath until I actually see some actual footage of these games. Because just looking at some of the videos for Joker just left a bad taste in my mouth. It wasn't just because it was based off of 8's system, which personally left a bad taste in my mouth already, but mainly just because everything felt so out of place. Like, they did a lot of changes to the engine for Joker that I really don't like. Like, they changed how you catch the monsters, they changed how breeding worked, they changed the limitations on stats. I hated all that stuff. It's like they were actually trying to go out their way to change a game that didn't really need to be changed all that much. All it really needed was probably more monster stats, more skills. The spell name changes, I could probably live with that, though I probably wouldn't like it. But I would live with that if they decided to do that. Because it's not like that hurts the gameplay. It's just a minor change for us nostalgia people. But I think the biggest thing, though, is that everyone complained about with Joker. Not a good post-game. Remember, Dragon Warrior Monster games aren't exactly known for their innovative plot. No, if anything, they're actually known for just how much you can do in the post-game. Particularly when it comes to training up your monsters and doing different stuff with the town. Like, going through different portals in the town. In Dragon Warrior Monster 2, it was the different keys you could collect, the different challenges. I mean, that's what really made it fun for me. And in Dragon Warrior Monsters Joker, the post-game really ended up being an extra arena match, or maybe an extra map, or something like that. But I remember it being very lazy. Like the post-game was more of an afterthought than an actual thought put into the game. Yeah, that really didn't make me happy at all. And I assure you, my game would be nothing like that. If there was going to be a post-game at all, it would probably be... I thought about maybe doing, like... Okay, maybe a 99 floor dungeon thing would be kind of stupid. People aren't really into the whole 99 floor dungeon thing, because of how long it takes to actually beat the thing, but... I might do, like, a very long dungeon, though, like maybe 20 or 30 floors. Kind of like what Dragon Warrior 3 did with the Divine God Cave. Kind of like with that, and I would have all the different types of monsters that you could catch. I would have them with different abilities. A lot of them would be rare, ones that you really couldn't catch up to that point. There would also be special items you could get in the cave that were unavailable until then. Some being incredibly overpowered and necessary to beat the boss of the area. I don't know who that would be. I'd have to decide on that, but that's one thing I was thinking about doing. Another thing is there would be items in the shop. Going back to my old theory of making it where there are items where you can teach monsters different skills, I thought about adding some really expensive items to the shop that actually taught some really good endgame skills, like Heal Us All, skills like a Big Bang, skills like, well, what else? I'm trying to think of some really good skills that would be really useful at that point. Surge would be one, since it heals all status effects, which, in my version of the game, you would be able to use that outside of battle as well. Helpful for skills like Poison and whatnot. That was really a big thing for me in the old Dragon Ball Monsters games, is Surge really wasn't that good unless you were constantly fighting enemies that used paralysis or sleep or something like that. For stuff like Poison, it was kind of useless because you couldn't use it outside battle. At least I don't think you could. I don't remember you being able to do that. But I may be wrong. It might be my memory kind of screwing with me with that one. There are a couple of different ideas also that I would be thinking about doing. Oh yeah, I completely forgot to talk about the fact that we're fighting 5-star men. Yeah, Stark would like this. I actually meant to talk about that when the battle first started, but I was too into my tirade about Dragon Quest monsters to talk about that. Sorry. But yeah, Stark, aka Slime Master, would love this part of this game. He probably won't like the game though, because, like I've already said, it's harder than what he's used to. I didn't mention his name, but Honestly, I may as well have had, because he kind of had a reputation for not liking hard games anyway. And just about everyone in the den knew about his YouTube account. So I'm pretty sure you could have already inferred who I was talking about. Speaking of him... Oh, no, never mind, I won't say it. Because that's kind of a spoiler. But I will say this much. Let's see. There's an event that's going to happen soon in this game that I think completely breaks. Stupid horn. I'm trying to do a commentary here. Anyway. Aside from that, there's something that's going to happen in this game that completely breaks the flow of the game. But not for the worse. If anything, this is something that should have happened earlier in the game, because I've been through so many dungeons where the game, it wasn't hard, but it just felt boring. I haven't seen any real growth for my characters in the game for quite a while. If anything, that kind of makes these feel like filler dungeons, in a sense. A lot of the ones I've been through lately, because they've been not really all that exciting. I haven't been able to level up or job grind much since the 1AVP has stopped that almost virtually, and level ups are also hard to get at this point because of the high experience requirement for them. I don't know how many dungeons are actually left in the game at the point where I'm at. But I've actually had to stop playing it because I'm kind of stuck. Can't really progress past the point I'm at because of a glitch in the game. I might go into RPGVX itself to try and fix that problem, but I don't know if I should. I don't think it actually hurt anything, because it's not like I'm giving the file out to anyone, so no one would get really screwed over by this, and he's just going to give me another fixed file of the game later anyway, so I don't think it would really matter. I just don't know how long it's going to take him to get to me, truthfully. And actually, by the time this is uploaded, I might have it already. I'm not sure. We'll see. But yeah, we're almost at the point where the file actually starts screwing up. But first, we actually get to a new immigrant. Yep, we can now change job classes. You'd be surprised just how awesome this is. Goodbye, everyone.